hope your week was as amazing as that video of David. For real, we are so stoked that you are here with us tonight. We love getting to spend time with you guys every week. It is our favorite part of the week. Now, last week we talked about, whoa, I almost fell over there. Last week we talked about temptation and how to deal with it. We used Jesus as our example for how to fight it. This week we're gonna be talking about this thought. What do you do when everything is going great? A lot of the time we're talking about what to do when things are crappy. In those moments, we point you to God, right? Like, hey, when things get tough, lean into Him. Lean into your relationship with Him. Fuel yourself with God's word and surround yourself with a great community. But I feel like we don't always talk about what we're supposed to do when things get good, when things really start rolling well. And honestly, I think the advice that we give you guys to lean into God when things get tough is kind of obvious. Like, things get hard, go to the God who created everything for some support. That makes sense, but when things start going well, our tendency is to relax. We don't press into that relationship as much. We back off, we start to think that we can handle it, and God becomes this magical lamp that we think we can rub on whenever we get in trouble. So what should we do when things are going great? Well, let's do what we did last week and look at how Jesus responds in this situation. In Matthew 14, we see this scene where Jesus is surrounded by a ton of people as he gets off his boat. He heals some sick people and begins to speak to them. Time goes by and everybody gets hungry. The disciples come up to Jesus and are like, hey, it's evening, let's send these people away so they can go get some food to eat. But Jesus is like, nah, they don't need to leave, y'all can feed them. The disciples are like, but we only have 5 loaves and 2 fish. So Jesus prays and he tells the disciples to start portioning it out. Y'all, Jesus ended up feeding 5,000 men plus women and children. So effectively, 15,000 people got fed from 5 loaves and 2 fish. That is bananas. What a huge moment. I mean, this is truly ridiculous. And they had leftovers. Like, Jesus didn't just give them enough to get by. Nah, he filled their bellies and sent them home with food, right? Like, it was an insane miracle, a massive miracle. Now, if that were me, I'd be celebrating. I'd be throwing a party. I'd be freaking out because of what just happened, right? Like, things were going great for Jesus. He miraculously healed sick people and then miraculously fed thousands of people. What does the Bible say he did after this? Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone. He went to be alone, not after a party or celebration. He immediately left to go pray by himself. That is the opposite of my response in moments like that. I want to hang out in the moment of success. I want to sit in it. I want to think about it. I want to talk to people about it. I want to hear about how awesome it was, right? But Jesus immediately goes to pray by himself. If you were here last week, this would sound familiar to you because that's exactly what Jesus did right before he was tempted. So you're telling me that Jesus' preparation for temptation and his response to good times are the same? Yes, that's what I'm saying. And it's really not that complicated. When you get alone with God, it keeps you centered and focused. And I mean like really alone. No phone, no TV, nothing. Sometimes it's even great to turn the worship music off. Create absolute solitude and silence. When you get to that place with God, it allows you to really hear what God is trying to say to you. All the noise of what people say you should do, what society says you should do, or even what your own thoughts are telling you, they kind of quiet and subside, and you can clearly focus on God and what He wants for you. Because in the busyness of life, and with all of the noise in our lives, social media, TV, school, relationships, family, it gets really loud. And so you start to not hear God's voice, and not only that, but you lose focus on what you know is true. And you start making decisions based on reaction instead of decisions based on your relationship with God. So what do we do when life is going great? Get close to God. Create intentional alone time for you and Him. Because what's awesome is this keeps you ready for the hard times. Because when the hard times show up, you don't have to go scrambling back to God for help. You will already be there, and you'll be ready for whatever is coming your way.